So tell me about your creative process as a writer. How do you write something? Walk me through what happens. Oh, of course. Okay. So it generally starts with an idea, which can come at you in the shower, when you're walking the dog. You never know when it's gonna hit, but it does. And so I jot it down. Now is the time to actually sit down and do something about this, right? So I finally mow the lawn, make that phone call to the bank to open a savings account, organize my clothes by color, and basically magically do everything that I've been avoiding on my to-do list, because now I can use these things to avoid an even more daunting task, which is writing this thing. Eventually, though, the battle of anxieties is won by the fear of this idea never seeing the light of day, and so I do sit down to actually write it. I pull out my pen, but just before it hits the paper, I think, this is about to be it. Once I jot something down on this page, the idea as it exists in my mind in its perfect form vanishes, because it starts to become real, and imperfection is inextricable from reality. Paradoxically enough, however, some people throughout history have created arguably perfect masterpieces. Starry Night by Van Gogh, The Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, Baile Inolvidable by Bad Bunny. Statistically speaking, though, that's not what's going to happen once I stain this piece of paper. What's going to happen is that I'm going to have to face my own incompetence. And so I get up and I do absolutely anything else for an unacceptable amount of time until some person in some YouTube video I'm watching gives me some iteration of Nike's tagline, "Just do it." And so I sit down on the computer yet again. So I'm like, oh my God, just write what comes to mind for 10 minutes straight, and that's it. And I do. Victory! There is something on the page, finally! And so I read it, and it's crap. And so I wonder if this is worthless. So I write a couple more sentences, and I read them back. And then I wonder if I'm worthless. This is the part where I blow up my mom's and my best friend's phones with a detailed thesis on why I have absolutely zero talents, have wasted my lot in life, and I'm not worthy of their love. So I cry incessantly for about 17 minutes straight, give or take. And then I start to read their lovely, encouraging responses, and that is when anxiety sets in, because I've just wasted so much of their time, you know? So now I'm spiraling. I'm spiraling because I'm convinced that at some point they're gonna get tired of my shit and leave me. So I gotta repair those relationships, obviously. So I start conversations with them about their lives and try to figure out ways of giving to them until they both, in their own loving little ways, tell me to shut the fuck up and stop avoiding writing. I think to myself, yeah, relax. You just need to relax, that's it. You just need to relax. You know what? Maybe some soft music will help. So I log into my Spotify to try to find some instrumental track when my newsfeed tells me that an artist called Tate McRae has just released a new single. So I'm like, who's Tate McRae? So I have to Google that, obviously. And I find out that Tate McRae is a super famous pop star who was born in 2003. Hear me out here. Who is 22, but born in 2003. Make that make sense. Everybody knows that every person who was born on or after the year 2000 is still in diapers. That is obvious. So my brain is having a really hard time processing this interesting nonsensical phenomenon, which reminds me that one time somewhere I read that time is not linear. So I have to look that up, obviously. And it turns out that this idea is supported by physics. And of course, I remember reading about this in high school. Thanks to Albert Einstein, we now have the theory of relativity, which shows that time is actually relative, being able to speed up or slow down depending on the viewer's physical speed and gravitational field. And it is intertwined with space to form a model that we call the space-time continuum, the geometry of which is distorted by mass and energy. And what is the universal attraction that pulls together objects with mass and energy? You guessed it, gravity. So this explains it. But you know what it does not explain? Why I'm 34 and still lost in life. So now I'm on the brink of a panic attack. And so I have to call my poor therapist on a Friday afternoon. And after calming me down, he says something that is completely unexpected, which is that this is all just a way for me to procrastinate my writing. And I just respond, I can't do it. It kind of doesn't matter what this is. It's just I am physically incapable of writing this piece. And he says that's not true because you've written over 200 things like this in the past 5 years alone. And I'm like, that was different. That was different. That was luck 200 times in a row. So obviously there's no way to reproduce that. So I hang up on him and I'm like, well, now I have to prove to this guy that he's wrong about me and that I do not possess the ability to finish this draft. So I sit down to write another useless sentence, and once I read it back, I realize that something about it just kind of clicks. And all of a sudden, I'm able to see the link between what's on the page and the ultimate vision. So I write a few more sentences that make the previous senseless sentences gather some sense, and then more sentences after that. And shockingly enough, I read them back and think, that's not that bad. And so I go into this like super weird state that many professionals call flow, and I keep writing more sentences and rearranging them until I finish the draft. And once I read it and look at it, I'm like, this is actually okay. And the next time that I need to write something, I just do the whole thing all over again. That's it. Would you like for me to write it down step by step? Or? No. I have enough information. Okay. Thank you.